This month, we've been focusing on bhakti, which is the Sanskrit word for devotion. I thought it appropriate with the Valentine holiday in the middle of this month to just kind of focus on what love is in the more spiritual context and in the, I guess, mode of thinking of offering ourselves to the divine in the same way that we might offer ourselves willingly and enthusiastically to someone or something that we love deeply, whether that's mastering a particular art form or a person that we just would give our very lives for. So trying to cultivate that same sense of willingness to surrender and offering of oneself very fully, but in this context to that divine love, that beautiful light of aliveness that is in all living things that we can begin to recognize and connect with inside of ourselves. Throughout the month, we've been kind of checking in with different scriptures and things like that that kind of illustrate this. And this is one that we've used before. This is Yoga Sutra 133. It's one of my favorites. This translation says, to preserve openness of heart and calmness of mind, nurture these qualities: kindness to those who are happy, compassion for those who are less fortunate, honor for those who embody noble qualities, and equanimity or even-mindedness for those whose actions oppose your values. Now, certainly that last one is the hardest. It's, I guess here what we're kind of looking at is being happy for someone who's happy rather than being jealous. Compassion for those who are less fortunate rather than maybe being judgmental. I recently heard a pastor, I don't remember his name, say that we should stand in awe of what the poor carry rather than in judgment of how they carry it. And I think that sort of really illustrates what this part of it means. Honor for those who embody noble qualities. So that means looking up to those whose shoulders we stand on to uncover wisdom and to heighten our own sense of compassion and our capacity for love and forgiveness. And then that equanimity or even-mindedness for those whose actions oppose your values. This is the hardest. I think this is sort of about, it's easy to see the beauty of the divine in a beautiful flower or in someone who's doing some kind and great act of service. It is harder to recognize the qualities of the divine in someone who agitates you or someone whose choices we don't agree with or whose actions oppose our values. It's harder to see that oneness between ourselves and that person. We tend to think of that person as other or ourselves as separate from that thing. And I think it requires us the challenge of seeking the divine in all and everywhere. If we're really going to find, that's kind of like the final step toward achieving that oneness, is being able to see those good and beautiful qualities, even in people we don't agree with or people who agitate us. So I thought what we do today is try to become really still. Normally we do a little bit more like vigorous action on Mondays, but I think we're going to try to take it easy today. It's a snow day, and try to sit with that stillness so that we can calm all the movements of the mind and the movements of our emotions and try to settle into that tranquility and oneness with all things that helps us to cultivate this sense of bhakti or devotion. So I thought we would come into our seated pose as we do to fully and formally begin our practice. So any comfortable position with or without any kind of extra support is useful here. And to cultivate that sense of establishment and sort of stillness, see if you can kind of move the weight of your upper body kind of around, maybe little micro cat-cows and side bending, moving the shoulders and the hips, and seeing if you can find all the weight of your upper body kind of settling into the pelvis to create stillness. See if you can cultivate an idea of anchoring oneself in the moment, in stillness. See if you can quiet the outer noise, maybe even quieting some of the inner sensations of the body to rest in that state of tranquility. See if you can find that alignment of heart, crown, and tailbone through subtle adjustments of the spine and shifting of the weight into the pelvis. And then beginning to open the heart to hold more space inside of us for patience, for that happiness for those who are happy, for that compassion, increasing our compassion for those who are less fortunate. Opening our hearts to honor with our whole self, to kind of stand behind and prop up those who are doing great action in the world through love and compassion. And taking an even bigger deep breath in this time to see if we can have just the slightest chance of opening our heart even 1% more to those whose actions oppose our values, to try to see their humanity, to try to see beyond all the bushels that are covering the light inside of that person, and see if we can just open up to the possibility of that light being present in those who agitate us. Take a few more breaths to feel those 4 things. We're going to start to create a sense of almost pumping ourselves up, or intentionally cultivating through action that openness inside of us by taking what's called the breath of joy. Now, since we're seated, we're going to have to be a little more mindful of where our arms are swinging. But the motion looks like this. It's an inhale to sweep the arms up in front of you towards the shoulders. The next inhale, we sweep the arms out wide like in a T shape. Then we take a 3rd sweeping inhale upward, and as we exhale, we can pull the hands down into the heart. Now, if we're standing, we kind of let the arms swing back, but we don't want to hit our hands on the floor. So it's 3 inhales in a row and then a long exhale. So let's do it really slowly once, and then we'll start to pump up to a natural or slightly faster rhythm of the breath. So inhale, 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 long, slow exhale. And that's the motion. Inhale, inhale, inhale. Slow breath out as we pull that into our heart. Inhale to offer yourself, inhale to open, inhale to offer to the divine, exhale, pull all those qualities into your heart. A few more times. It's hard to get a full 3rd breath in, but try your best to keep them even. Sort of 3 short inhale blasts and 1 long exhale. Let's do 2 more and then pause with hands at heart. Feel the heart beating more quickly. That pumping of the blood and prana and energy and oxygen through the body. Feel that sense of nourishment. Recognizing that even as we give our love out through happiness, through compassion, through honor, through even-mindedness, even as we expand in that way, it is nourishing to us. Even as we give out those things, we are nourished by those actions. Letting the hands come to the knees. We'll just take a few gentle cat-cows. Don't reach your maximum capacity. Just really gentle, rock the heart forward and back, feeling expansion happening at the front and then the back of the heart. So we're expanding in 2 directions here. And again, with either hands on the knees or hands on the floor, straightening up the spine, then kind of leaning to one side as you exhale. Inhale, center, exhale, release. Inhale, up, exhale, over. Inhale, center, exhale, release. And this can be as fast or slow as you need, just opening gently, not necessarily reaching that maximum opening, but starting to open the side bodies. Maybe 1 more in each direction so you feel balanced. Then we'll take that supine heart opener that I promised us. So whatever your support is going to be, whether that's pillows or a bolster, some stacked blankets, setting that up behind you so that as you bring your body to face forward, you have some support as you recline back onto that lift. Legs can be in almost any position that suits you here. You can straighten the legs and extend them long. You can find that bound angle shape of soles of the feet together, knees wide. You can keep the soles of your feet on the floor and let the knees fall together. So basically any position that feels restful and easeful in the body so that you can focus your attention on the upper body. Taking a few breaths here to feel and extend that expansion that's happening at the lifted heart. And as you exhale, feeling the points of the shoulders get heavier and rolling over the side of your support. Inhaling to open, exhaling to soften into that support. Just allowing, again, the idea of the heart shining outward, offering that love, that compassion, that happiness for others, the even-mindedness toward those who oppose us, all this opening, flowing outward, and just feeling yourself not exhausted by it, but being supported from behind. The beautiful thing about finding our capacity increasing for offering these kinds of devotion and love is that it doesn't have to come from our own ability. But the more we can surrender willingly and openly and fully to the divine and allow that love, that light to flow through us, we are not then dependent on the limitations of our circumstances, of our relationships, of our ego, of our past wounds. See if you can cultivate both that sense of relying on and surrendering fully to the support that's behind you, that divine love. And how that opening at the heart center now allows you to shine that through. Let's take about 5 or 6 more slow, patient breaths, feeling the increased capacity and opening with your inhale, that surrender and reliance with your exhale. When you finish that cycle of breaths, I recommend rolling to one side to come off of your support. We're going to face one side of the mat as we come up to seated. You can start with left or right, up to you. I'm starting facing the left here, so I'll be giving instructions based on that. And whatever your support is that you used behind you, we're just going to turn it the opposite direction, or rather perpendicular. And from here, we're going to take some side bending and side opening actions. We kind of warmed that up in our warm-ups today. So my left hip is here next to my support. My right hip is a little off the floor. You can arrange your legs and feet in whatever way is most comfortable for you. But we're just going to recline sideways now, bringing the left side of the body down towards that support. You can prop your elbow on the mat on the other side of your support and support your head. If it's comfortable, you can also let your head just kind of fall so that that right side of the neck opens up. So you can kind of decide how much or little support you'd like. This right arm on top can either rest alongside the body, or if it's comfortable, you can kind of reach it up and over and just kind of softly hang that right bicep over the back of the skull. Now this one's a little bit harder, I think, to find that same sense of surrender. We're all probably certainly feeling that opening on the right side of the ribs and the space between the ribs and the right hip. See if you can still give into that support again, so that we're not relying on our own capacity, but pulling through us, opening ourselves as a vessel to that limitless divine love, free of judgment, free of condition. Soften your left hip down towards the floor. The right hip's probably not touching the floor, and there's no need for it to, but just softening it toward the floor, even just energetically. Again, we'll take about 4 or 5 more slow breaths here. Breathing in to increase our opening and our capacity. Breathing out to surrender to that divine love. When it's time to come out, again, taking your time, taking those full, long, patient breath cycles. You can just use your top arm to press your way back up, and we're just going to turn to face the other side of the mat to take this same side bending pose. So this time, right hip is up against your support. Legs can be arranged in whatever way is comfortable for you. And then reclining that left side of the body down over your support, perhaps supporting your head with your left hand, or excuse me, with your right hand, or letting the head fall downward so that the left side of the neck is open. And then left arm, again, same thing, can rest alongside the body or kind of up and overhead, soft and relaxed. And we'll take about 7 to 10 breaths total here just to see if we can feel that opening in our capacity, which is probably a strong sensation on that left side. And more subtly, that sense of surrender into our support on the right side. Gradually, with exhales, releasing both hips energetically toward the floor, even if they're not touching. Expanding on our inhales to open up our possibilities of love and compassion, of joy with those who are happy, and that even-mindedness, that sense of seeing the divine even in the challenging people. As you feel a sense of closure for this pose and are ready to move out, again, just use your top arm to press your way back up to seated. This time we'll go back to facing the front of the mat again. Legs are going to extend long in front of us, and we can use whatever support we had optionally, if you like, to support us in a forward fold over the legs. So perhaps we use support here, perhaps we just fold over the legs. But find a sense of openness in the front body first. Feel the heart open forward as the shoulders were pulled down and back. Maybe a little lift in the chin for just a moment before spreading that length of the front body over and downward towards the legs, whether you're supported or not. Head can, again, rest in hands or onto your support, or just kind of hanging with chin towards the chest. And feel that opening that we had in the front body now transferring its way to the back body. It might take several breaths and some deepening of the pose to feel that full openness now reaching from sacrum all the way to the back of the skull. Taking about 4 or 5 more breaths here. Offer yourself really deeply into surrendering into this fold. And feel how that opens you effortlessly. And when it's time to come out, just use your hands if you want to press your way back up to seated. We can set aside our support for the time being. We might use it for Shavasana, but we won't need it for the rest of our poses. And we'll just come to standing at the top of the mat in mountain pose, Tadasana. And we might connect here, again, with that idea of something vaster and greater than ourselves, as we find our sense of root in the feet and the steadiness and alignment in the spine. Just see if you can kind of embody that ageless, timeless, permanent mountain. It's shaped by seasons, it changes its appearance, but it fundamentally remains itself over long periods of time, connecting to eternal love rather than temporary love. Finding that stillness and tranquility within. And then we'll again move into that breath of joy, this time a little bit more vigorously as we can swing our arms a little bit. So again, it's the 3-part inhale, inhaling up to at shoulder height, inhaling open, inhaling together, exhaling. This time just drop your hands and let them swing. So inhale, 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 exhale, inhale, 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 exhale. As your arms drop back when you exhale, feel a sense of releasing any hindrances to love, Kind of feel yourself being washed clean. A few more rounds. Last one. And again, find that stillness. Feel that lingering energy of the heart beating faster from the broader breath, action in the arms, the greater circulation, that deeper nourishment now with each slower breath. Feel yourself returning to stillness after a vigorous action. Good. Then from here, we're going to move into reaching the arms up. And then as we exhale, taking that same forward fold that we took seated, this time just allowing the body to expand through the back. Feel the back of the neck lengthening. Feel sensations of expansion at the back of the legs, keeping a softness in the knees as a sense of surrender rather than forcing expansion, allowing the expansion to happen. Good. From here, bend at the knees a little bit more, planting the palms, step back to downward facing dog. First one of the day, stretch out the backs of the legs a little. Find your alignment that feels good to you. Take 3 breaths here. Exhale, we're gonna move into a plank pose. Knees can be lifted or supporting you on the mat. 3 breaths here. On your third exhale, release your belly down to the mat. Your chest can stay lifted if you like, or you can drop fully flat onto the mat and then lift. Just letting the heart shine forward, pull the shoulders down and back. 1 more breath. Exhale and release, coming back through downward facing dog, taking 3 breaths. Then stepping the feet forward, 3 breaths in our forward fold, softness in the knees, expansion and allowing as the general mood of the pose. After that third exhale, you can either hinge or roll up to standing again, taking 3 breaths in mountain pose. After your third exhale here, inhale to lift your arms, exhale to take your fold, 3 breaths. Actually, let's do 2 breaths here. And then we'll step back to downward facing dog, 2 breaths. These are slow, patient breaths. Exhale to find plank, 2 breaths. Second exhale, we'll drop down to the mat. Find your heart opener here for 2 breaths, heart forward, shoulders down and back. Exhale to release, pressing up through downward facing dog, 2 breaths. Stepping forward to our fold, 2 breaths. Taking the next 2 breaths to rise either through hinging or rolling. 2 breaths in our mountain pose. This last round will just be a lightning round, 1 breath in each pose. Inhale, let your arms reach up. Exhale, take your fold, and then take a full inhale and exhale. Stepping back to downward facing dog, then take a full breath in and out. Flowing to plank, full breath in and out. Find your back bend, full breath in and out. Downward facing dog, full breath in and out. Stepping forward, full breath in and out in our fold. Inhale to sweep up or roll up. Exhale, heels. Let's take a few breaths to find stillness again in down dog. Again, noticing that quicker breath and that vigorous action. Now letting the breath slow back down, re-finding our connection to that quiet tranquility, the part of us that is unbothered by any external circumstance. All right, so we're gonna take a half a round of that same movement. So inhale to sweep up. Exhale, take your fold. Let's take 3 long breaths here in our fold again. Stretch out the backs of the legs. Feel the weight of the head and the heart, pulling the length through the legs, softening through the knees. We'll step back again to downward facing dog. 3 breaths here once you're established in the pose. During your 3rd exhale in this pose, just allow the knees to come down to the mat to find tabletop. Kind of finding that same Tadasana mountain spine here. Alignment of crown, heart, and tailbone. Feel where there's space, maybe in the belly here or at the back of the heart. Then inhale to lift your right leg. Perhaps the left arm also reaches forward. That's optional. So taking this long stretch. Next, exhale, coil your left elbow and your right knee under the body. Inhale, stretch out. Exhale, coil. Slow, patient breaths. Feeling expansion and release. Coming back to table on your next exhale. Full breath in and out. Find your alignment, find your balance. Inhale, left leg rises. Perhaps the right arm also reaches. On your exhales, coil the elbow and knee under the body. Slow, patient breaths. Maintaining that equanimity even through this challenging pose and challenging movement. Feel the action of balance as we move. One more before finding your tabletop again. Find your alignment. We can take either a supported version or a traditional child's pose. Knees can be narrow or wide. Maybe that bolster comes back underneath us. Maybe we just bring our head and belly toward the mat. Choose a place for your arms, either reaching forward towards the top of the mat or relaxing the hands back by the feet and just letting the biceps rest on the thighs. And find your sense of bowing, your humility. Find the noble-hearted people that you've looked up to, whether you've known them personally or just know of their actions. Just kind of relax into participating in whatever victory they've had in being good people, noble qualities. See if you can find the universality of goodness in people, even despite what we observe sometimes in the world. Two more breaths. As you inhale again, coming back into tabletop. We're going to move into an exercise of how to reach your heart open to those who oppose you. Again, that was the most challenging part, which is why we're kind of focusing on it. What we want to do as we do this is open our heart in different directions than we normally face, and also have our top arm kind of reaching up for divine help so that we're not relying on our own ego, but reaching into that divine love. So balancing on both knees and your right hand, roll and lift your left arm open to the left, maybe reaching upward as if reaching for divine help and feeling your heart open to that left side. Take 3 breaths. Having received that divine help in the left hand, next exhale, reach that left arm underneath the body into the right, dropping the left shoulder near to or onto the mat. Open your heart to the right, and just let your palm face up to still receive that divine guidance. One more breath. Returning to our tabletop shape. Let's take that same motion, but this time a little bit more quickly. So we're still working with the left arm here, balancing on right hand and both knees. Inhale, sweep open to the left. Exhale, reach under to the right. Inhale, open. Exhale, reach. Taking a few more of these, slowly maybe elongating and lengthening the breath. As you're breathing in, feel yourself filling with that divine light. As you exhale, offer it in that open palm as you breathe out. One more. And return to your tabletop shape. Just to give the hands a break here, we're gonna rock up onto standing on the knees and just kind of shake out the wrists, maybe roll the shoulders a little bit. On an inhale, lift your heart, lift your chin. Maybe the hands support you on your low back or reach for the heels here. Taking a little brief break in camel pose. Then begin by rolling the chin towards the chest, then rolling the shoulders and arms and elbows forward of the body. Let the back of the heart kind of open as you bring your hands down to the floor, and then just briefly touch the crown of the head or aim the crown of the head toward the floor. Feel that big cat arch in the spine, that sense of expansion. Inhale, come back into that aligned tabletop. We're gonna move on to the right side now. So remember, the action here is opening our heart in a new direction and reaching for divine help as we do so. So inhale, heart shifts to the right arm reaches up, pulling that divine help. We're gonna hold for a few breaths here. Then almost kind of make a hand, like kind of grasp with that right hand, then reach it underneath the body and to the left and open your palm to offer what you've gleaned from that divine love. Heart shifting now to the left. Couple of breaths here before we take our more vigorous action. Good. Inhale, twist open to the right arm reaches. Exhale, reach under into the left, offer. Inhale, receive divine love. Exhale, offer divine love. A few more like that. Elongating your breath to make the action a little slower. One more. Then returning back to our tabletop shape, coming back to standing again on the knees, shaking out the arms, then lifting the heart, lifting the chin, letting the hands and the arms fall back behind you. Maybe hand support at the sacrum or reach for the ankles. A few breaths here in camel pose, heart broad and open. Chin to chest, shoulders and arms coming in front of the body, back of the heart expanding, touch the palms down, and just aim the crown of the head towards the floor as you lift the back of the heart. Maybe it's touching, maybe it's not. Find that sense of bowing and humbling oneself. Good, let's come back into tabletop together, find your alignment. Then allowing the toes to be tucked under the body, coming back into downward facing dog. Let's take about 5 breaths. Feel expansion both at the back of the heart between the shoulder blades and at the back of the legs. Find surrender in the belly, the neck, and the breath. Good, next inhale. Start to lift that right leg high. Perhaps the heart and the hips start to face that right side of the mat, maybe not. Good, on your next exhale, let the right knee come under the body toward the left elbow. Maybe it comes close, maybe not, but just aim in that direction. And then just kind of hold there for a moment. Maybe that right or left knee drops to support you. Good, inhale and lift. Exhale, reach the right knee towards the left elbow. 2 more like that. Good, 1 more. Coming back into all 4 limbs on the mat. Take a big breath in and lift the tailbone. Exhale, knees to the mat. Exhale again, hips toward the heels, child's pose. Take a little bow. Following in the footsteps of those who have provided examples of forgiveness, those who have provided examples of boundless, unlimited love. Bow before them, honor them, and cultivate and feel that same divine quality that is in those people within yourself. Rising back into table, tucking toes, finding downward facing dog again. Get yourself established. Feel expansion at the back of the legs, openness at the back of the heart, surrender in the belly, the neck, and the breath. On an inhale, left leg's gonna rise. Perhaps the heart and the hips shift open to that left side, maybe not. Good. On your next exhale, start to bring that left knee and aim it towards the right elbow, whether it comes close or not. Just aim in that direction. Holding, maybe the right knee drops to support you. Good. On an inhale, lift. On an exhale, twist and coil. A few more breaths like that. Inhaling to lift, exhale, coil. Good. Inhale, and then bring yourself back into all 4 on the floor. Big inhale as the tailbone lifts. Exhale, find table. Inhale into your back body. Exhale, find child's pose. Child's pose for some is a rest pose. For others, it's a challenging pose. But recognizing how surrender, whether it's hard for you or easy and relaxing for you, finding that sense of surrender to whatever the experience brings. Being open enough in the back body to receive whatever wisdom is coming your way. Being humbled and surrendered in the front body. Cultivating within yourself that divine light that we see in those who embody noble qualities. Good. On an inhale, coming back through. This is our last round of downward facing dog poses. So tucking your toes again, starting to lift up and back, finding a few breaths here in your established down dog. Surrender at the backs of the knees. Surrender in the belly and the neck and the breath. Effort and expansion in the arms and the legs and the spine. On an inhale, right leg lifts again. Maybe we open, maybe not. Next, exhale, step that right foot forward. Once your left knee has dropped behind to support you, you can move your right foot over to the left side of the mat, letting the right knee fall open to the right side of the mat. We're gonna find a pigeon shape here. So we have that support nearby. If you want to bring it in front of your body to rest your elbows on, if you want to bring it underneath your hip to support you. And we can either choose here to pull the chin gently upward to expand the throat, pulling the shoulders back to expand the heart, or coming forward either onto the floor or onto your bolster support with your forearms and letting the back of the neck and the back of the heart expand. Either way, find some kind of sense of opening. Perhaps we are struggling not to see the noble qualities of others, but to see the noble quality of yourself. Just feel as you breathe, you receiving that divine light, and then recognizing it, letting go of ideas of self-limitation as you breathe out. more breaths, slow and patient. Receive the wisdom of the pose. After that last breath clears the body, come back to a lunge position. So supporting yourself however you need to bring that right foot forward between the hands. And tucking the left toes underneath, we're going to start to straighten both legs. So maybe we are folded over with hands on the floor. Maybe we're folded over with hands on the shin or the thigh here to support ourselves. But both sets of toes facing roughly toward the front of the mat, elongating a flat back in the spine here. Feel the back of the right leg, really feeling that expansion. Feel the balance required for this shape. Good. Next, inhale, sweep your arms up and hinge your torso upward. Exhale and bend into the right knee. And arms can stay lifted or come back to grasp opposite wrists or elbows, or interlace, or maybe press into the low back. We're trying to open the heart here. So surrendering into that right knee as we lift and effortfully open the heart. Facing forward. Again, feel stability. Feel effort, feel the weight of your body opening your muscles. Releasing the arms from whatever position they're in. We're gonna fold back into that low lunge here. Bringing the right knee back to meet the left in table, then tucking the toes and rising again through downward facing dog. So if you can effortfully create expansion at the backs of the legs and the arms and the spine, and surrendered softness in the belly, the neck, and the breath. Soften and surrender at the back of the knees. Left leg will lift here. Perhaps we twist open to that left side of the mat. Take a few breaths. Eventually, we'll step that left foot forward again to find our low lunge. Right knee dropping behind you to support, then starting to shift the left foot to the right side of the mat. Left knee falls open to the left. And begin to set up your pigeon pose. Whatever support you would like to have is the right one. So take that opportunity. And again, choosing to either lift the front of the heart and the front of the throat area, or perhaps we find that sense of expansion at the back of the neck and the back of the heart. Either way, find that sense of opening. Pigeon pose offers us a challenging reminder of what it feels like to really surrender. It's not always easy. We do meet with resistance to surrendering in many cases, so just kind of scan the body. Look for any places of tightness or resistance to the pose and see if you can use your exhale to surrender or support a little more. Soften and let go to what is holding you. Slow your breathing. Open to the wisdom of the pose. Feel love flow through you as effortlessly as your breath. Two more breaths of receiving that divine love and sending it back out with your exhale. And starting to come back into our lunge shape, so slowly and supportedly making our way back to the left foot between the hands. Then bringing the left knee back to meet the right for tabletop, tucking the toes, and rising again up through downward facing dog. Last downward facing dog of practice today. After your next exhale, step the feet forward again to find your forward fold at the top of the mat. Softening and surrendering through the knees, the length of the spine, the back of the neck. 2 more breaths here. After that third exhale, start to rise up, either rolling or hinging. Come back to our mountain pose, kind of shake everything out, find your alignment. Connect again to the permanence and strength of the mountain. And just before we find our relaxation, we're gonna bring our heart rate up one more time. See if you can create some exuberant devotional joy through our 3-part breath. Inhale, 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 exhale, drop and sweep. Inhale, 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 exhale, release. Two more. Take just a moment to recreate some stillness here in your standing pose. Just about to come back to the floor here. So you can take that little reach up and then forward fold if you like, or you can just bend at the knees and bring your body down. Coming to seated, facing the front of the mat, soles of the feet wide, about the width of the mat or so, and soles of the feet just kind of rooted and grounded. We're gonna lean back into the hands and just kind of softly take a moment here to just rest and feel supported. Start to just slowly, a little bit at a time, bring the knees from side to side, maybe getting a little wider and slower with each pass. Even allowing your weight to shift from one sitting bone to the other as you rock the knees side to side. If you have your bolster or your support, we could use that for our deer twists if you like. So we're just gonna bring that at an angle toward the right hip if you wanna use it. And then drop both knees to that same right side. Arranging the legs and feet however is comfortable for you, then turning to face your support if you're using it, or just turning behind the body if you're not using it. Take a moment here, just facing the heart open. On your next exhale, start to walk down, maybe just hands a little further in front of you, maybe dropping to elbows, or maybe coming all the way down to your support here. Knees and nose can face same or opposite direction. We're gonna take about 5 to 7 breaths here. How much letting go is possible for you in this shape? How much can you trust that support to hold you? Where do you feel sense of expansion, of moving past your own individual capacity? Can you use your breath to receive support and use your exhale to give that love back out, to allow it to flow through you? Use your hands to lift yourself up on your next inhale. Untwisting to face forward again, hands coming back behind the body. We can scoot our bolster or support if we're using it to the other hip. And then before we take the other side again, just lean back into the hands and just soft and gentle rocking from side to side, maybe getting a little wider and slower with each pass. And eventually we'll let both knees drop to that right side now. Twisting through the heart, opening and lifting, taking a few breaths here, pause, lift it upright. And again, you can stay in this upright shape if you want to, or you can walk down to forearms, you can walk all the way down to your support or the floor if you're not using it, whatever's comfortable for your body. Again, testing ourselves to see if we can find trust in that divine love, maybe even just the trust that it exists at all. And then secondary, finding that trust to be something reliable enough that we can allow ourselves to be supported by it. And third, creating that space in the body to allow it to flow unhindered through our lives. This is what it is to be in a state of bhakti or devotion, to allow divine love to flow effortlessly and spaciously through your body, through your life, through your words and actions. Receive on your inhales, let go and surrender on your exhales. Just 2 more breaths here. And use your arms to rise back up. Coming back to facing forward again, planting the soles of the feet. Feel free at this point to just kind of explore the body. If there's any last movements that your body is requesting, feel free to take those. If you'd like to move directly into your resting pose for the day, also feel free to move in that direction. If you have your support, feel free to use it in a new place today, someplace that we might not normally do for Shavasana. Maybe the legs are lifted, or maybe we come back into that open-hearted shape. So maybe just experiment with using the resources that you have available to you to take a different kind of resting pose today. We moved in ways today that actively created more flow in our bodies, through our breath, through our blood, through that love. We took those breaths of joy. We moved into positions of surrender and bowing and respect and honor. So we brought happiness. We brought compassion as we looked into our own hearts and tried to see the divine within ourselves, even when that's challenging. And that equanimity and even-mindedness to expand our compassion for others. Each of these qualities helps us to cultivate that sense of devotion and bhakti. Now just feeling the breath as that divine love effortlessly and welcomed in as we inhale. And peacefully and letting go fully as we exhale, that surrender. Find rest in that stillness and tranquility. Connect to the part of you that is happy with and for others when they experience joy. A part of you that is compassionate and giving to those who are less fortunate. To the part of you that honors and acknowledges when others are doing right, when they act ethically and nobly of heart. And finding that even-mindedness and sense of compassion for those who oppose you, or for when we have trouble finding that divine light within our own self. Feel that flow of your breath, receiving divine, unlimited love as you inhale, and releasing that same unhindered, unlimited love as you exhale. Surrender willingly and devotedly to that feeling of bhakti, of that unlimited love moving through your life. Depending on how you've chosen to take your resting pose today, discover within your body, in whatever shape you're in, some way to feel even more expanded, maybe lengthening the limbs out or opening and lifting the heart just a little more. Find your expression of that expansiveness. Claim it within yourself. And find your way from whatever position you are currently in to a sideline position flat on the floor. So maybe coming off of your support or taking a moment to curl inward before rolling. And connect again to that stillness. Let go fully. Have no expectations of rising. Just simply rest as you are. Use your breath to nourish that seed shape, fully expecting to see your love fully bloom. And when the moment feels right, start to rise again. Find your seated shape. And just as we did at the beginning of class, kind of feeling the head and the heart align over the tailbone, starting to feel the weight sort of settling into and anchoring ourselves through the pelvis. How relaxing the shoulders effortlessly opens the heart. We're going to take a very slow and intentional last breath of joy here. So 3 slow, stacked inhales. Inhale, lift the arms forward. Inhale, open. Inhale, reach up, palms together. Exhale, slow and steady as you pull the hands into the heart center. Feel the contact between your fingers and the base of your palms. Feel the very small spaces between your knuckles and your palms, the center of your palms. And let that be the metaphor for the way that we connect to the divine. We are one body. Even the hands are not really separate things, but part of the same body. There are places where we easily feel connected and other places where we feel distant from the divine. Recognizing that we are always connected. We are always one thing. Letting the chin bow in towards the chest, that symbol of humility before and acknowledgement. Bowing not only to the light within ourselves, not only to those who are happy, not only to those who are noble, but also to those who are less fortunate, and also to those who agitate or challenge us. We bow to that light out of a sense of devotion to one and all and the divine in all things. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. May all beings be happy, healthy, safe, and free. Namaste.